Hey everyone, Combo here, back with another Empires and Puzzles video, and today I am going to go through a ranking from worst to first of the new Fated summons that are coming out on February 2nd, 2025. We have 4 categories of heroes. We have some Season 4 heroes, we have 5 of them, 5 previous Hero of the Month characters, 5 Clash of Knights characters, and 5 heroes from the Tower of Magic portal. I am also going to talk about if they have a costume available, and if that costume is available through the Outfitter event, and when they are available in the Outfitter event. So that's obviously going to play a factor in the Fated summon. Definitely has added a new mix to Fated summons since the Outfitter event was last introduced. We had some real gems last time around with Guardian Gazelle and her costume, and Krampus and his costume basically being free for anybody who got them. Before we get started though, real quick, if you do enjoy this video or find it helpful, hit that like button, make sure you subscribe to my channel, and turn that notification bell on so you can be alerted of when I drop new content. Also, I do want to make sure that everybody knows that historically, the costume does not come with the hero in Fated summons. I am going to show some images of heroes with the costume bonus so you can see what that would look like in case if they have a costume that would be eligible for the Outfitter event. And before we get started, I do also just want to say that just because I have somebody ranked 14th or 15th or even 19th or 20th, that doesn't mean that they are not a hero that can help you on your roster. I don't know what your roster looks like, so maybe the 19th or 20th ranked hero that I have listed might be the one that helps you the most. So take what I say with a grain of salt. I am ranking these from worst to first in my personal opinion without having any information of what anybody's roster looks like. And I am also approaching this video more geared towards free-to-play and cheap-to-play players, expecting that some players will be leveling these heroes up and limit breaking and double limit breaking. Obviously, I understand that a lot of the top-level players will not level any of these up, or maybe 1 or 2 of them, depending on what their roster looks like and who they have already from this list. So just wanted to put that disclaimer out there, and without further ado, at number 20, and what I would consider to be the worst hero in this mix, I've got Cristobal. He is part of the Tower of Magic portal. His first charge is really nothing special. He's going to deal 250% damage to the target, or he will deal 500% damage if the target has less than 50% health remaining. That comes in about 5 or 6 tiles depending on your troops, and then the second mana charge, which would come at about 12 or 13 tiles, possibly less depending on your troops, is going to deal 215% damage to all enemies, or he will deal 430% damage if the target has more than 50% health remaining. They do have a passive that when they cast their special skill, they have a 50% chance to give minus 25% mana generation for 3 turns to all the enemies. If the special skill is fully charged with that second charge, the chance is 100%. So not a bad passive if you can get that second charge so that it gives a 100% chance for 25% mana generation reduction. And this card right here and one other one, I had trouble finding a double limit broken with Masterclass emblems so you could see what their stats would look like. Obviously this one is just single limit broken. Double limit broken with Masterclass emblems, he would probably come in at about 1080 or 1090 total power. And of course, he does not have a costume at this point in the game right now. I really do hope that they come out with some costumes for the Tower of Magic heroes eventually, but we will have to wait and see what that looks like. At number 19, I have Agrafina. She also does not have a costume, and for her first mana charge, all enemies get minus 20% attack for 3 turns, all enemies get minus 20% defense for 3 turns, all enemies receive 159 points of damage over 3 turns. Really not that useful in my opinion. And for her second mana charge, all allies get plus 45% attack for 6 turns and a further plus 20% increase every time they are hit. All allies get plus 54% defense for 6 turns and a further plus 5% increase every time they are hit. And then all allies regenerate 1428 health over 6 turns. So that second charge is pretty good for a support type of hero, but that's gonna be a long time before you can get to that. Again, that's gonna be around 12 or 13 tiles, maybe at 11 depending on what your troops are at. That is a lot of volatiles for the special to be mediocre at best. For her passive, when she casts her special skill, she has a 50% chance to deal 100% damage to all the enemies, and then if the special skill is fully charged at that second charge, the chance is 100%. At number 18, I have our first hero of the month, and we've got Gilligan. He is Barbarian class, he is slow mana speed, and for his special, he is first going to deal 350% damage to the target and nearby enemies. The attack has a 75% chance to bypass defensive buffs, which includes counterattacks. All allies get plus 40% defense for 4 turns, and then he has an elemental link that gives all holy allies a plus 5% chance to dodge status ailments for 4 turns. This effect cannot be dispelled. He also has 2 passives. The first, he will gain a small amount of mana every status effect buff that the enemy team has at the start of each turn, with a maximum of 20 buffs. That is a large maximum for a passive. And then for his second passive, he has resist mana ailments. This character has innate resistance against ailments that affect mana. Considering he's already slow mana speed, good thing it cannot get any slower. Obviously, Gilligan, like many of the Fated summons, are very outdated. Even just that special 350% damage to 3 targets, we have average speed and even fast speed heroes that hit for more than that. Definitely not a good option in my opinion. At number 17, I've got Suzuna, also a hero of the month character. She is cleric class, also does not have a costume, and for her special, the easy breezy aura, she is first going to cleanse status ailments from the caster and nearby allies. The caster and nearby allies reflect status ailments and negative stacks for 3 turns. Status effects cast by characters, minions, and fiends on the same side cannot be reflected. The caster and nearby allies regenerate 750 health over 3 turns, and then she will give an elemental link where all ice allies will recover 4% health for 4 turns. This effect cannot be dispelled. She has a couple passives. First, resisting fiends. This character cannot receive any fiends. And then she has a second one, resist healing ailments. This character has innate resistance against ailments that affect healing. She is fast mana speed, which is nice, but she desperately needs a costume. And whenever that costume comes out, I really hope they change the special so that it affects all for the cleanse and then for the reflect as well. That would make her a very, very good support hero, but only doing those things to 3 allies and only for 3 turns for the reflect, and the heal over time not being that great either, just doesn't do it for me. If she ever gets a costume, I hope that they change that heal over time to a regular heal percentage. That would be awesome. At number 16, I have Luina, who is part of the Clash of Knights. She is Ranger class, she is fast speed, and she has an interesting special where first she is going to block the talent skill activation for all enemies for 6 turns, and then she's going to deal 260% damage to all enemies. Her attack stat, if double limit broken with masterclass emblems at 1234, really isn't that bad. 260% damage to all enemies isn't going to hit that hard, obviously, but her attack is decent. But the blocking of talent skill activation for all enemies for 6 turns, that could definitely be pretty useful, and 6 turns is a long time, but it is definitely very annoying to go up against clerics or monks that can block those status ailments or resist being silenced, so that could definitely be very useful. At number 15, I've got Quenelle, and this one comes up with a little bit of a caveat, because if you already have Quenelle and her costume, then more than likely she's going to be a number 1 or number 2 pick for you, because she gets to like 1470 or 1480 power, maybe even higher. So with her costume, she is extremely relevant, but unfortunately her costume just came out this past month in December, and her costume is not going to be available in the Outfitter event until around June 2026. That is a long time to hold on to a hero to get their costume eventually. But for her special, she is going to deal 320% damage to the target and nearby enemies. The caster gets additional plus 40% power for the next special skill they cast. The additional power increases plus 40% each turn, up to plus 200% in total. The caster will also regenerate 600 health over 3 turns, and she is fast mana speed, of course. Not a bad hero, but a year and a half enough is a long time to hold on to a hero just to get their costume at an outfitter event that you may even already have somebody by then that you want to get instead of her. At number 14, I have another hero of the month with Viselis. Viselis is a druid and he is average speed. For his special, he is going to destroy all minions from the target and nearby enemies. This effect damages mega minions. He is then going to deal 310% damage to the target and nearby enemies. The target and nearby enemies receive 572 poison damage over 4 turns, and he's going to give an elemental link that gives all nature allies plus 5% chance to dodge status ailments for 4 turns. This effect cannot be dispelled. He also has a couple passives, the first being health boost of poison, boosts health of this character and nearby allies by 2% for each enemy inflicted with poison at the end of each turn. Boosted health can exceed max health. And then he has a passive that resists poison, so he has innate resistance against poison. Not a bad hero, honestly, depending on your level of play. I mean, most of these Fated Summons are going to be very outdated. They're pity heroes of sorts that you get for doing 100 pulls. For many people, these are obviously going to be heroes that they just use into Soul Exchange anyway. But for some people, they actually will level them up, and Viselis is not a bad option, even at number 14. At number 13, I've got Turgruk, who is also a hero of the month. He is Ranger class, and he is very fast mana speed. He is first going to deal 450% damage to the target. He is going to add a stack where all damage the target receives is increased by plus 5%. The max stack is 10, so they can get plus 50% extra damage, and he's going to give an elemental link to all dark allies where they get a plus 5% chance to dodge status ailments for 4 turns. This effect cannot be dispelled. He has a couple passives, the first being resist blind and anything that affects accuracy, and he has a second passive, increased special skill damage. The first time this character casts a special skill that deals damage, an additional 30% is added to its power. So that's definitely pretty cool, but he is a decent sniper, very fast mana speed, so you can easily get him to 6 tiles. Not a bad choice if you need a good purple sniper. So these next 3 heroes that we're going to talk about are going to have better stats because they all have costumes, and I'm going to show you what their stats would look like with that costume bonus, and they probably would be higher, but depending on who you have lined up for the outfitter event, you might not be picking these heroes for the outfitter event anyway. So I tried to take that into consideration a little bit, that they have the potential to be very good, but didn't want to rank them too high because, again, more than likely you have another hero that you're going to be getting the costume for in the next outfitter event. But coming in at number 12, we've got Zenobia. Zenobia is average speed, her class is cleric, and then for her special, she is first going to deal 320% damage to the enemies on the edges of the enemy formation. If there is only one enemy alive, the damage is doubled. And then she is going to alter the power of fire shields on the board. When an attacking hero casts a special, shields are enhanced with plus 64% attack. When a defending hero casts the special, shields are weakened with minus 57% attack. She has a couple passives. The first increases buff duration. The duration of the first 3 buffs this hero receives from special skills is increased by 1 turn. And then her second passive is only if you have her costume. She has increased damage against boosted health. After this character casts their special skill, all allies, normal attacks, and special skills deal plus 70% damage against targets with boosted health for 4 turns. So that is definitely a pretty useful passive if you have her costume. Again, not a bad hero. She does have a costume. It is not currently available in the outfitter event. It will be available around August of 2025, depending on when the outfitter event comes out in those months. Based on the current schedule, I believe it's probably going to come out in March, and then again in June, and then probably again in September. We've been kind of given the indication that it's going to be similar to Soul Exchange, where it's going to come around every 3 or so months. But that is definitely not confirmed, so do not hold me to that. At number 11, I've got Auda, who is also part of the Underwild Season 4 series. She is rogue class. Her mana speed is fast. She is first going to deal 450% damage to the target, and then she is going to deal 500 extra damage if the target has boosted health. So not a bad sniper, and if you do get her costume and double limit break her, add masterclass emblems, she's got 1502 attack attack. That is pretty good for a free hero that you can get from Fated Summon. So if you need a good holy sniper, then Ayuda might be a good option for you at number 11. And again, she does have a costume right now. It will be available around March of 2025, so in about a month or so. So again, depending on the timing of when the next Outfitter event comes out, that costume may or may not be available. She has a couple passives. The first is increased special skill damage. The first time this hero casts a special skill that does damage, an additional 30% damage is added to its power. So same as Zenobia. And then their second one is the same exact other one. If you have their costume, after this character casts their special skill, all allies, normal attacks, and special skills deal plus 70% damage against targets with boosted health for 4 turns. At number 10, I've got Morel. They are a ranger, are part of the Underwild family as well. They are fast mana speed. They're going to deal 180% damage to all enemies, and all enemies get minus 34% defense for 3 turns. They do have a costume available, and it is already available at the Outfitter event. It's already been over 18 months, so you can definitely get Morel's costume if you'd like. And Morel has the same exact passives as the last 2 heroes that we just talked about, where the first time this hero casts a special skill that does damage, an additional 30% is added to its power. And if they have a costume after they cast their special skill, all allies, normal attacks, and special skills deal plus 70% damage against targets with boosted health for 4 turns. So Morel, definitely a solid hero and a good bonus with the fact that her costume is already available at the Outfitter event. And at number 9, I've got Motega, and his first and second charge are completely different. The first mana charge, he is going to summon a butterfly minion for each ally with 14% health and 20% attack inherited from the caster. Each hit from a butterfly minion gives the target the following status ailment. All damage the target received is increased by plus 20% for 3 turns. And for their second mana charge, they're going to summon a butterfly fiend for all enemies. The fiend damages the enemy with 43% attack every turn, and the butterfly fiend absorbs health and disappears when it has absorbed health equal to 50% of its owner's max health. The butterfly fiend gives minus 50% accuracy for its owner for as long as the owner has a butterfly fiend. Chance to miss also applies to offensive special skills. This effect cannot be cleansed. So definitely interesting that Motega can get minions for all of his allies in only 6, maybe 5 tiles, depending what your mana increase is from troops. And this is the only other card that I couldn't find a double limit broken one available. So these are what his stats would look like. Single limit broken without masterclass emblems. His individual power would probably go up to about 1070 or 1080 or somewhere around there if you double limit broke him and added masterclass emblem. So definitely not a bad option at number 9. At number 8, I've got Eloise. She is, of course, part of the Clash of Knights. She is wizard class. Her mana speed is average. She is going to destroy all minions from all enemies and damages all mega minions. She is then going to deal 270% damage to all enemies. If an enemy had minions, they will be immune to new minions for 4 turns. So definitely a great minion killer. Obviously, that's not going to work for the War of 3 Kingdoms heroes who have a costume who resist removal. It will work for all of the other heroes, and then the damage to the mega minion, I believe, is half of what their health is. So definitely a great option if you don't already have heroes that can remove minions. And at number 7, I've got pretty much the reverse of Eloise. I've got Esme, who is also part of the Clash of Knights. She has average speed. She is going to destroy all fiends from all allies. She is then going to boost health for all allies by 650. Boosted health can exceed max health. If an ally had fiends, they will be immune to new fiends for 4 turns. Now, we just got mega fiends introduced into the game, and I did have a buddy of mine test this out for me. So shout out to Bradley for testing this out for me. He has Mortal Witch and went into a battle against Esme, and Esme did remove half of the Mega Fiend, and then the heal afterwards definitely makes a big impact. So definitely something to consider if you find yourself already having trouble against the Mega Fiends. Obviously, her stats are not going to be that great. Would love to see some of these Clash of Night heroes get costumes in some of the events that are going to be coming out. And if Esme and Eloise ever get costumes, they are going to be top level heroes in the game, in my opinion. Coming in at number 6, I've got Malenia. Malenia is another interesting one because her special is completely different for that first charge and the second charge, but she is of course part of the Tower of Magic family. Her class is Wizard, and for her special, her first charge, she's going to recover 25% health for all allies, and then she's going to cleanse status ailments from all allies. Her second charge, she is going to deal 420% damage to all enemies and is going to dispel buffs from all enemies. I do wish the dispel was before the damage, so that's a little unfortunate there, but the ability to recover 25% health and cleanse status ailments in only 5 or 6 tiles, that is really, really useful, and that is why she is so high at number 6 on my list. She does also have a passive where when this character casts their special skill, they have a 50% chance to give 10% mana for all allies. If the special skill is fully charged at that second charge, the chance is 100%. So that is definitely pretty interesting also. At number 5, I've got Ray, also from the Tower of Magic family. I know anybody who has ever had Ray loves this card. His stats are a little bit better than some of the other Tower of Magic heroes. He came out a little bit later, so that is definitely something to take into consideration. And for his special, that first mana charge, he is going to give all enemies 423 burn damage over 3 turns. All enemies get minus 34% defense against fire for 3 turns, and he is going to dispel buffs from all enemies. His second mana charge, all allies regenerate 1190 health over 5 turns. All allies get plus 50% attack against nature for 5 turns, and he's going to cleanse status ailments from all allies. But it is really that first charge that is super important. He is a dispeller in only 5 tiles if you have the troops to increase his mana enough, and he's going to give elemental defense down for fire to all enemies for 3 turns, and he's going to give that burn damage. This is a solid hero, and he also has 2 passives. The first is stack on special. When this character casts their special skill, all enemies get minus 5% mana generation stack. If the special skill is fully charged, all enemies get 2 stacks. And then another ability is mana on special. When this character casts their special skill, they have a 50% chance to give 10% mana to all allies. If the special skill is fully charged, the chance is 100%. Ray is a solid choice in this Fated Summon, in my opinion, and somebody I think people have been wanting to see in Soul Exchange, and we actually got him in Fated Summon, so that is definitely a big win in my opinion. Coming in at number 4, we're going back to the Underwild series with Phileas Fogg. He does have a costume, and that costume is already available in the Outfitter event. For his special, he is first going to dispel buffs from the target. He is then going to deal 420% damage to the target, and the target gets minus 58% defense against nature for 4 turns. He is fast mana speed, his class is fighter. He's got really good stats, obviously, when you have him double limit broken with masterclass emblems, and these are his stats with the costume bonus. Wanted to show you guys what that would look like when he's got that costume. Phileas Fogg does have a couple passives, the first being special skill damage reduction. Received damage is reduced by minus 20% for the first 3 times this hero receives damage from special skills, so that's definitely going to help him survive a lot longer in battles. And then his second passive is only if you have his costume, increased damage against boosted health, the same passive as some of the other Underwild series heroes that we've talked about. After this character casts their special skill, all allies, normal attacks, and special skills deal plus 70% damage against targets with boosted health for 4 turns. So definitely a solid hero, and that's why I have him at number 4. Coming in at number 3, I've got probably everybody's favorite hero of the month of all time, Ruffian Endurgib. He is rogue class, his mana speed is fast, and for his special, the Mana Scavenge, he is first going to steal 50% mana from the target and distribute that on all allies. He is then going to deal 450% damage to the target. The more health the enemy has, the more damage they will receive, up to 600%. He is also going to give an elemental link to all fire allies, who will get a plus 5% chance to dodge status ailments for 4 turns. This effect cannot be dispelled. So when you look at just that, Ruffian Endurgib is really not that great of a hero in my opinion, but when you look at his passives, that is what turns him from a okay hero to a good hero. So for his first passive, Mana on Health Recovery, this character receives 5% mana each time its health is recovered. And his second passive, eat minions and gain mana over time. Every 3 turns, eats all minions for a random enemy and gains a small amount of mana for each eaten minion. So if you have a legendary troop on him, you're only going to get him to 8 tiles. You're not going to be able to get him to 7 tiles because he is rogue class, which is a little unfortunate, but those passives really help increase his mana so that you can get him to 7 tiles. Definitely a great hero, and that is why we have him at number 3. All right, we are down to our final 2, and as you can see, they are both dark heroes. I really like both of them. I think both of them are great. I had a really hard time who I was going to put at number 1. I wanted to go against the grade and put Hulda at number 1, but I had to put Ludwig at number 1. So first we are going to talk about Hulda at number 2, who I think is a great hero. And before I had an advanced enough roster, I had a lot of trouble with her when her costume first came out. And even without the costume, she was always pretty tough when she first came out. She does have a costume available. It is not available right now in the Outfitter event, but it will be available around September of 2025. So a few heroes ago, we were just talking about the timing of the Outfitter event and how it should be coming back in March and then probably again in June and then probably in September. This all assuming that the Outfitter event comes back every 3 months or so, which is kind of the indication that we've been getting, like I said, similar to the Soul Exchange. So you'd basically have about 7 months to level her up, max her, double limit breaker, and then once you do that, if you want to get her costume at the Outfitter event, that would be a great option in my opinion once that comes back when she's eligible, and you could make her even better. She has great stats as you can see here. And let's talk about her special now, the Pet Larva. She's going to summon a larva minion for each ally with 31% health inherited from the caster. The minion recovers 11% health of its owner at the end of each turn. The larva minion gives plus 24% mana generation for its owner as long as the owner has larva minions. This effect cannot be dispelled. The larva minion gives plus 54% defense for its owner as long as the owner has larva minions. This effect cannot be dispelled. So her minions are extremely useful. They're going to get that plus 54% defense, going to give all of your allies plus 24% mana generation, and they're going to recover 11% health every single turn. Definitely a great hero and has a lot of versatility as a tank also. She has a couple passives. Her first one is increase buff duration. The duration of the first 3 buffs this hero receives from special skills is increased by 1 turn. And then her second one is only if you have her costume, health boost on special skills. When this character casts their special skill, they boost the health of all their allies by 10%. So that is definitely pretty cool. So she basically turns into a healer as well with that costume bonus. Great hero, great class being a cleric. Definitely somebody you should get. And coming in at number 1, we've got everyone's top pick, I think, in this new Fated Summon. We have Ludwig. Ludwig has been everybody's favorite rush tank for as long as I can remember. He's probably going to turn more into an offensive hero for many people because of his stats being so outdated, but still an extremely useful hero. For his special skill, the caster gets taunt that prevents enemies from using special skills on the caster's allies for 6 turns. The caster gets plus 84% defense against special skill for 6 turns, and nearby allies received mana each turn for 6 turns. Received mana increases each turn until the last turn when 100% mana is received. 6 turns is extremely long in a battle. He was one of the best rush tanks for an extremely long time, and in some levels of play is still going to be really good for you at the tank position, but for most people, he is definitely going to be too outdated for that. Great support hero, a great way to increase 2 other allies for their mana, and I love the fact that he has plus 84% defense against special skills for 6 turns when he has that taunt, so that is extremely useful. Definitely going to help keep him alive longer, and really forces the enemy to kill you with tile damage if he's on defense, or if you are on offense, then they're really only going to be able to do damage against him if those attacks every 3 or 4 turns or so from those enemies happen to hit Ludwig. He's a monster, definitely somebody I am going to be getting, and I hope, or maybe I don't hope actually, that he gets a costume eventually. He is going to be an absolute terror if he ever gets a costume in this game. I don't know if I'd rather go up against a costume Ludwig tank in Rush War or go up against Bernadette, but either way, that would be a crapshoot. So that is my ranking from worst to first first for the new Faded Summon coming out on, I believe, February 2nd. Let me know what you guys think, who you're excited for, who I ranked too low, who I ranked too high. But that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you did enjoy it or found it helpful. And if you did, hit that like button, make sure you're subbed to my channel, and I'll catch you guys next time.